Okay, everyone. So you just heard last week the episode with ICPA's team regarding the upcoming conference. But once we stopped recording, we just got to chatting and everything. We turned on the camera again and the recording, and we caught a really cool conversation with the ladies. And so that's what this is. It may not sound like a formal episode, but it's a lot of fun. We hear a lot about the origins of ICPA and Lynda and different aspects of ICPA. So enjoy, and we'll hopefully catch you and everyone else at the next ICPA episode or any of the other episodes that we have here on Simply Trade. Thank you.
These last 25 years, as I've grown up with them, they all kind of fell into trade. I know a lot of people, like I know Stacy Krause, it was a stop on the elevator on the way up to her job. And then when her job was dissolved, she just got off on that floor. I know Lila Landis spoke Spanish. And so she translated, I believe, a bill of lading. And that's how she got into trade. I don't know that I know your story, Lynda, and I'd be interested. Like, how did you get into this?
I used to teach an import-export class at a university, and I always told my students, you never meet anyone that said from the time they were a small child, they said they wanted to be a trade compliance professional. It just doesn't happen like that. But I had lived in Saudi Arabia for a couple of years, and so I was very interested in all things international, but I'm horrible at languages. My brain is not wired like that. I've taken countless years of Spanish, and I can maybe ask where the bathroom is. So so it wasn't my thing. But I had a high school friend of mine that did work in the export side of things. And so I went on an informational interview, and I was really interested and very excited about it, and then never heard anything back. And that's just the way it goes sometimes. So I had graduated from college, and I was older adult, and it was a horrible economy, just my luck. And I couldn't get a job. And so I finally landed a job as a manager of a customer service department for a company that made corn dogs. Was not what I aspired to, but I was happy to have it, And then I had accepted that. Well, then the vice president that I did the informational interview with calls me and tells me they have a job opening. And I'm like, well, I've already accepted another job. He's like, no, come in and talk to us. And so long story short, I do. And I end up accepting the logistics trade job. And I had gone through a headhunter for the corn dog job. And so I had to tell her, that I was switching, and she said, you're going to hate that. It's just trucking, and it's horrible, and it's boring. And I'm like, I don't know. It seems interesting to me. And anyway, so that was my path. And the rest is history.
Yeah, that's I'm only thing I'm going to remember from that entire story is corn dogs. I just want you to know.
Right? Yeah, I mean,
mostly because you and Mom wanted to go around in an ICPA version of the Weenie Mobile from Oscar Mayer. That was a dream of theirs. I just want everybody to know that.
Retirement dream.
That was their retirement dream. So, that just shows you how crazy they were.
So here's what I'll say to trade compliance professionals today. If you think you're having a bad day, you could have been the manager of a corn dog place. But I would say, you got the better side of the deal.
Well, that's gold right there. I'm just telling you. And it is funny that everybody kind of fell into trade, but I think for better or worse, one of the things that will never be the same because of the Trump tariffs and I try to stay as apolitical as possible. This is not me expressing an opinion on either things, but just to say that what has taken place with trade and the changes, it will. There's been seasons where trade compliance has come on the map, and I think we were starting to see the growth of it during COVID, right? And even right before COVID, when we started having really conscientious mothers. That's when I was in college, right before COVID, oddly enough, I was in some textile classes. It's just what it was at the time. There wasn't an event planning degree, so they mixed in some other things. And so supply chain was part of that because supply chain was how the fabrics got to make the clothing, right? And so what ended up happening is you had consumers that wanted to make sure that the wool diapers or the cloth diapers that they're putting on their babies were sourced from happy sheep, okay? literally. Like shoppers began to be more eco-friendly. They knew about forced labor. They wanted to make sure that, and even before that, there was a certain shoe brand that will remain anonymous because ICPA doesn't say brand names in our Q&As or anywhere, right, team? We don't say what company we're talking about, but there was a shoe company that had some forced labor issues back in the day, right? And so this is really top of mind for consumers, especially in America. So we started to see it then. Supply chain became a common word. But you can talk to anybody now. Everybody asks me what I do, and I'm like, I'm an executive director for a global nonprofit that helps educate importers and exporters. And I'm like, do you know what tariffs are? Oh my God, yes, everybody knows the word now, right? Like everybody. So it's becoming this household thing. So it's like the pump is primed, right, for us. People like us and you too, Lalo, because it's so important. Like I have to be able to trust that when somebody comes up to Lynda and I, or even Victoria and says, hey, we want the certification, where can we go to get the education we need? It needs to be somebody that we trust, right? And I know that Lalo is on the cutting edge of education. He's not putting out boring educational content. You don't just read a bunch of books. Like you're engaged with the content that's going to make it easier for you to be able to achieve the goal of passing the test for the certification. So for me, it's just more important than ever. Trade compliance people are in demand and they're going to continue to be, is the point. Like, I don't think we're going back from here. Like even when our administration changes, the bilateral trade agreements that other countries have made without the U.S. as a part of it, I think they'll stay. And so trade has forever been changed, for better or worse. That remains to be seen. But for trade compliance professionals, it's a great time, because it's a job worth having for sure. And all of you have known that all along, right? For 20 years, you've known that. But now we're going to teach the rest of the world.
Me and Mom is like, we're not trade compliance professionals. So we rely heavily on our committee and the people around us to help inform us of what is best for everybody. Like I also do the Q&A for ICPA. We offer that, and all the questions I get in there, I'm like, I feel like I could answer this at this point because I feel like I've talked about it. Someone that's talked about it so much. So
that's an excellent point. The Q&A is, I know that there's AI now, and the Q&A might not be as relevant for future trade compliance professionals. But two things. Number one, you're not going to get a response from any AI bot that you would get from Lynda Thomas with her decades of experience. Like she's going to tell you the real, and that's where the Q&A is a really important feature. But also, if you're a service provider, man, I'd be trolling those Q&As so hard because, like Victoria said, just by doing it, she's learning a lot about trade by proxy. If you're trolling those Q&As, you're learning everything you need to know about your client by proxy, right? Especially our AI companies. Why I would be a member and I would be using the feedback from those Q&As to be building a better process. That's what I would do. And so I think the Q&A was the smartest thing these two ladies ever came up with. And I believe the first thing, right, Lynda?
Yeah, it was really our first idea of how to connect people in the industry, because we were all out there scratching for information. And back in the day, it was hard to get information from customs. And, so we're all out there independently doing research. And, we said, well, what if we could just connect people? Because we all know things, like if we could just connect and share. And it was interesting because, we got some initial pushback because some people were like, yeah, but my competitors will be in the group. And we're like, yeah, but this is not giving any company a competitive advantage at the end of the day. It's making you a better trade compliance professional and making your job easier. But, at the end of the day, this isn't going to help your company succeed, So it really doesn't matter that competitors are in there. And then the other thing that we got from the Q&A was sometimes people would say, there's some wrong answers in there. And I would always say, right. But you recognized it. So you kind of know what you know, and you can learn from some wrong stuff too, right? Like what not to do. So I said, yes, we don't monitor the answers for accuracy. We put them all out there, and, savvy of you to be able to say, well, that isn't necessarily what I would do, but it's out there and you know what some people are thinking. And then sometimes people would follow up and say, actually, I just want to clarify something or correct something or whatever. So, it's the process. It's all the learning experience.
I think it offers, as Lynda said, different perspectives. I've seen that's a common theme, is that there'll be one question and there'll be 7 different answers to it, and they're all completely different ways to do it. And no one's really in there harping on the other. I think that's the core of ICPA, as the tagline goes, a world of knowledge and a network of people.
Amen. Amen. I second that.
And then there's some really amazing speakers, like Brenda Cordova. I walked in on one of hers and she had her mezcal she was giving away. And I was like, oh, what a great session to be a part of. And then Michelle Schultz, she does the fun little games and everything. So it's just a matter of how people communicate how they work in this field. I think that's the thing ICPA offers at every conference is you may have one problem and you're going to have 16 solutions, 16 different ways. And somewhere in there, maybe you'll create a 17th solution from all of the collaborative that you've got. But it's just a big family of people wanting to help other people. And I love what this conference has going for it. There's so many new things. We're bringing, as my mom mentioned, younger faces into the profession. And I think that is so important to let people know how amazing a group of people trade compliance professionals are, how amazing and how important your job is, and just getting people amped up about it and making other people realize, how important your job is. Like when I explain it to people, and they're like, oh, import exports. And I'm like, no, that's literally how you get your stuff. Like it's not just, import export, like they helped you get your, Louis Vuitton purse in your hand right now. Like those are the things, those are the things that go on, so it's like, it's stuff like that. Like these people are really important and it's so fun. Like to me, I feel like I'm I feel like ICPA is at the, highest peak of trade compliance people. Maybe that's bias of me, but I think we're pretty up there in the field of knowledge, people knowing us. And, being a good, resource for them, educational resource for them. And I love our niche group of people. Like, I just think it's so I feel like, the Disney of trade compliance. I'm like, wow, this is so I just feel like we help so many people and we make it so fun. So yeah, I'm really excited for everything we have for the Global Trade Pathways Conference. There's definitely still time to sign up for it. We're less than 6 weeks out. And every day growing more ideas. So God help us when we get there of all the fun things that we will have for you to make this one different.
And what I love most about our partnership with Lalo. So for me, what is so important for me after taking over, and it's funny, right? Because my mom was the type of person who, if she was going to teach you how to swim, she was going to shove you into the ocean, not the deep end of the pool. I'm talking sharks and waves. And this is the way that she was raised. This is her naval training. This is you're just going to do it. You're going to learn or you're not. And so when, like Victoria said, she passed away very unexpectedly. And the hardest thing for me is not being able to call her and just being completely freaked out and her saying, okay, take a deep breath. Everything's going to be fine. And Lynda can attest to this because they're soulmate best friends for over 20 years. She just had a unique way. Lynda and I are more alike. We can take an emotion and make an entire day out of it, really. And so, yes. And we're really good at that. And she was just really good at being, non-emotional in these situations. And so for 10 years, I have been training for the role that I'm in right now. Probably longer than that, just like I said, watching the two of them and knowing what sets ICPA apart. So when I did my executive director retreat thing that I did for myself right here in my office, and I was running through some questions, it says, if one of the questions that hit me the most is, why does ICPA exist? And it just rolled right off my tongue, to meet the professional development needs of importers and exporters. Period. That was, and I knew it because it's in my heart, right? It's in my DNA because I was there the day that Lynda and my mom, we were probably, if I had to guess, at the Applebee's in Lake Worth, right, Lynda?
Yes.
And they were little kids, we're going to start an association. And they were so excited. I'm just like, okay, and look what happened. I get super emotional and super proud of what these two goofballs created, right? Because if you know them, they were just the most loving, welcoming people on the planet. And they were just as crazy as could be. They've been everything. They've been ketchup and mustard. They've dressed up as nuns. They've dressed up as Southern belles. And the whole point is that they created this environment where you could feel totally relaxed in a very serious subject matter. And it takes down that layer of introverted type A-ness that a lot of importers, exporters have, and they can then connect with people on a real level. And so for me, the next question was like, if ICPA didn't exist, what would the trade industry lose? And that one also just rolled right off my tongue. They would lose their heart, their family, right? Like, we love and appreciate what AAEI does. There's no question. They are lobbying for the future of international trade. And that is not something we ever want to get in, right, Lynda? Like,
Right.
you ain't gonna see me and Lynda on Capitol Hill, okay?
No.
I don't want any part of that.
We
But
might be
there's
at the Smithsonian, but no, that's about it.
yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, like, yeah, we're waiting for the night at the museum, right? For them to come alive. I mean, that's more our speed. And so, but what Mom and Lynda created was a family, a family reunion that you want to go to. That's what my mom used to say. And I didn't understand that as much for the last 20 years as I did driving to San Antonio after she passed, because that was by far the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life, was to go and carry on this legacy. But I knew when I got there that Lynda was going to be there, and Jamie Adams was going to be there, and Bonnie Kirsch was going to be there, and all these people were going to be there that I've grown up with, that were my family, that support me and have supported me through this, what I thought was an impossible transition, right? And so that, for me, that is what I have to protect, right? And so that is a huge responsibility, but that's why there is this drive to do these other things, right? And one of the things that several European attendees have come up to me afterwards and said is they just appreciate the humor that I brought to it, not even meaning to, because it helped them relax, and then they were able to connect with other people. And that just goes right back to the origin, the heart of what Mom and Lynda built. It's as much about the network as it is the education. Because I'll go back to what I first said. Because when you hit a personal low, you will have no doubt made friends in this association that will be there for you. I mean, I could think Blaine Carroll and Tina Fanfara. I think they owe their lifelong friendship and relationship to ICPA. I think they would tell you that, I believe. That's what Wendy told me on our cruise.
Well,
but,
and look at your mom and me, two introverts with a capital I. I mean, if you ever watched us at the reception, we were good for maybe an hour. And then one of us would say to the other, hey, you ready to go? Right? But together, we could overcome that. And we were, I think, together, both of us a little less introverted because we had each other. And so that also, too, I feel like, you make your friends, you have your network and your ICPA people, and you lift each other up and you make each other better. Because, together you can be a great team, whereas individually, maybe you're a little lacking in some things. And I think that's why it works so well with your mom and me, is because, we just like made each other better, although we were very much, we're very similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that is, I see more introverts in this field, successful in this field, than I do extroverts. And so I think that
we're going to have a session on that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's actually a third one, right, Lynda?
Well, I'm doing one on networking for introverts, but I'm going to talk about like introverts and extroverts, and how do you work in each other's worlds.
Yeah, and she found a third, like, what's it called, an ambivert?
An
ambivert,
something? Yeah, ambivert. Because everything's like on a spectrum, right? But yeah, I'm going to talk about, in the professional development track, I'm going to talk about, introverts are the minority, right? But then, so how do you function in an extroverted world? And from an extrovert standpoint, how can you value the introverts in your world, right? Because we need each other.
Agree. All right. What is that, the new stuff that we were going to share with everybody?
Yeah, I think that's it.
We got our 25th anniversary coming up next year. I know that there was some confusion about that. I'm trying to pull this up because I know
25 years of being founded.
Yes,
not 25 years of events.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to.
When the paper was signed,
there it was. On this day, August 19th of 2002, Ann Lister, Lynda Thomas, and Robert J. Pisani signed the papers to officially incorporate ICPA. So her birthday, her incorporation birthday is 25 years is next year, and we are going to go big, and we're going to, I just need you to know that Disney is our inspiration. And so if we need to celebrate the first meeting at the first official meeting at the Lake Worth Applebee's the following year, I just need everybody to know that we are going to celebrate this until I'm gone. So
maybe we need a Facebook Live at the Applebee's to commemorate.
that sounds great. Applebee's is just why y'all loved it.
It was kind of a stroll between where your mom lived and where I lived, so it was a good meeting point.
No, and by the way, not central at all. No.
Well, yeah.
Not free. I think she very much enjoyed getting off of the farm, so she did not mind driving, which I understand, but
yeah.
I tell people I'm going to go into Lake Worth, and they're like, oh, that's not far. No, it is. It's like 40 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't bad for me. You're right.
No. Yeah. Okay, so that is a wrap for us. We are super excited to see you at the Global Trade Pathways Conference this September. Whether you're going to attend in person or virtually, it is all the same experience. We'd love to see you in person. We got the boot, scoot, and boogie theme of the Western Grapevine, Texas, so we're super excited for that and all of the amazing things that it offers. Okay, so make sure to check the show notes if you have any questions. If you want to contact us, we would love to hear from you.